Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel for a brand new speed build. I told you guys I was on a building kick, and so I am here to share with you the latest build that I have done, which was for the April Build and Share Challenge over on the forums. Now, I used to participate in Build and Share challenges from the forums years ago, like yonks ago. I was consistently doing one every single month, and I've kind of fallen out of that habit, but this brief for this particular challenge just sort of spoke to me, and it was a tiny home and it had a pretty healthy budget, so I was like, I'm gonna give this a go. So basically, the home that I am building is for a sim called Guy Orange, and his parents gave him a little plot of land on their estate, a 20 by 15 plot of land to be exact, and he wanted a space that he could have a home that was basically for hanging out. So Guy Orange is a university student, but he's not going to be living on campus. He's going to be living on this little plot of land. So what he needed was an area to study, a bedroom, a bathroom, a kitchen, a dining area. But the most important thing to this Guy Orange was that he had a space for gaming with his buds and his pals, and then also that he had space outside for a fire pit. So those were the constraints that I was working with when I was building this. And as you can see, I've got the zero simoleon floor tile down, the what is it called? It is wood flooring. I've got that down because the kicker of this whole challenge was that the house couldn't be bigger than half the lot. So basically I was working with a 10 by 15 space, and the house ended up being 5 across and 9 back. And then you can see as you're looking at it now, I've got steps going up to a rooftop hangout space and also a cantilever. So the cantilever is counted as part of the house even though it's not part of the living space. So all in all, I believe that the house is 10 across in the front and it goes 9 back, but the actual living space is only 5 by 9, and then there is also a basement. So as you can see, like I said, I've got the wood floor tiling down, and that's because I had to map this out. I probably built this off camera 3 or 4 times just to make sure I could get it right and also to keep it in budget. So I did lay out everything before I started filming because I had to keep it cheap and cheerful to make sure that I wasn't going to go over budget. And I built it once on a different lot. I don't know if you'll be able to see it when I spin around, but you may see a very similar building across the road. I don't think you can see it. And I was 4,000 over on that. So I had to start over, and then I rebuilt it again and I got it under budget, but then I didn't save it. So I didn't really know what I was doing. Once I had bulldozed, I was so mad when I went into game and I was like, oh my god, it's gone. What have I done? I was so angry with myself. So then I had to rebuild it again off camera, and it was over budget, and I was like, how in the heck have I managed to make this over budget? You guys, I'm horrible with budget, so I was upset about that. So I had to bulldoze and start over again. So then I rebuilt it again, managed to get it under budget. I saved that lot, but then obviously I bulldozed it again so that I could build it on camera for you guys to see. Now, like I always say, I really do love how this build came out. My inspiration was sort of an industrial arcade building. I don't know if that's such a thing or if those things are around, but like some sort of old school arcade place where kids could go and hang out, because Guy Orange is quite a broody and moody teenager, and he's got a little bit of an attitude problem. You guys should check out the full brief on the forums because it gives a really good backstory and kind of gives you a feel for the character that you are building for. So I went with, on the interior, you guys are going to see a lot of dark colors, but because his surname is Orange, I thought I'm going to put some orange in there, splash some orange about. So that's what I did. So I didn't actually give him a proper bedroom with a door. What I did was I just left an opening for him to get into the bedroom, because I figure if it's just going to be him living there, does he really need doors? And then the bathroom is on the left, as you guys can see, and that has access from his bedroom. Now the kitchen is only very tiny, but I figured that Guy Orange is probably going to be doing a whole heck of a lot of playing video games, maybe a little bit of studying, but probably not a lot of eating. I was thinking about putting in the university like half fridge, but I don't know if you can cook full meals from that, and I didn't test it out. So when I initially built this house, I did play test it to make sure that everything worked in its place, because it is quite a tight space. But when you're doing build and share challenges, you have to take the cost of the build as it is when you build it. So you can't build with somebody on the lot, because then you get depreciation. And my testers that I use to test out all of my builds, they have certain skills that make things cheaper. So I think it's the handiness skill, and also being in the architectural design profession, I think makes things cheaper. So I couldn't have them on the lot when I was building this, so I had to build it as it was, and I couldn't play test it, or else the lot would have gone down. So with this challenge, you didn't have to include the cost of the lot, and a 20 by 15 lot is 600 simoleons, I believe, and then the budget for this was 30,000 simoleons. So in total, I could spend 30,600 simoleons, and I squeaked in right under budget at 30,598 simoleons. I actually was a little bit like under that, even further under that, but I wanted to get as close as possible. So I think I found something that was like 2 simoleons that I could chuck in there and make it get as close to the max budget as possible, because you know, you better eke out every single simoleon that you could possibly use. That's what makes sense. But I've laid out the kitchen, I've laid out the bedroom area, and now this is Guy's little study area. And for some reason I thought he'd be into like aliens and collecting weird little knickknacks. So that's what you can see that I've put on the shelf. And then I spent a little bit more on the radio than I wanted to. I originally had the base game radio, and then I went with a different one because it wouldn't fit on top of his dresser and it was annoying me. So I was like, I'll spend the extra simoleons in order to get him a fancy little iPod looking radio. And then I'm just going to put in a little area where he can chuck his bags and also his books and things like that, and just chill out if he wants to. And then I also included the university, that thing, the spray paint thing in there, and also the backpack, just to give it like a little lived in look. But you can see that I've used very, very dark colors, and I've kind of been in a dark color mood. I don't know what it is, but I'm just digging dark color palettes at the moment, especially with pops of colors. Like orange and blue to me go together really well, and the collab that I did with Aurora, I used dark navy and also orange, and I just think it really suits that sort of style, so that's what I went with. And you can see that I'm not having a lot of indecision, which is very, very strange for me. But again, because I laid everything out, I saved all of the presets just so you guys didn't have to see me struggle, because it was a struggle. And probably building this tiny lot the first time I did it probably took about 4 hours for me to do, so it was quite some time, as usual. But here I am in the basement, which is where I figure that Guy would spend most of his time. You've got the spiral staircase that is in the kitchen coming down to the basement area, and I was able to fit in a freaking flat screen TV. I don't know how I did it, but I was so proud of myself, because originally I went for the one that cost like 8,000 simoleons, and then I was like, okay, let's tone it down a little bit. After all, he's a university student, but I have to think that if his parents are giving him a plot of land or a space on their plot of land for him to live, you know, they've probably got a little bit of money. So I spent the most amount of money in the basement area. You can see I've put like a little arcade machine for him to hang out and chill with his buds, and then also he's got a little gaming console. Now I built this in Moonlight Falls, which is actually one of my favorite worlds to build in. I don't know, there's something about the lighting that I really like, and you guys can see at the very end of the video when I do the screenshots and watch the lighting change just how much it changes. It's such a beautiful world, and I highly recommend it. If you guys don't have Supernatural, that's the pack that Moonlight Falls came with. I highly recommend you get it, because I don't know, the world is just stunning, and it's based off of Twilight, I believe. I can't remember which families are in the world, but it does pay homage to Twilight, so it is quite a cool world to explore. So I've pretty much got everything laid out. I did the upstairs rooftop, which is another hangout space for Guy and his pals, and then there's the fire pit, which was a requirement of the challenge, and then I'm gonna do an outdoor dining area right here with also some a frisbee, a football, and a hacky sack, because I just feel like I would like that sort of thing. So that is pretty much this build. I'm gonna go in and recolor because I do that as the last thing. I like to lay everything out first. But anyway, how are you guys? How have you been? What's been going on? How are you coping? Let me know everything down below. I want to know what's been going on in your guys' worlds. Tell me everything. I'm trying to think if there's been anything like exciting happening in my little corner of the world. Ooh, I've got a quiz tonight for work. I'm really excited about that. And like you guys know, I started a new job recently, and I've started from home, working from home. And they've been so brilliant. Like, the whole onboarding experience was amazing, and they did a really good job of making sure that I have everything that I need to do my job successfully. And then I've been having virtual coffees with loads of people, which is really great, because I don't think if I was in the office I would have that sort of time to just sit down and chat with people. But because, you know, we're in very strange times at the moment, we're able to have chats with people and just sort of meet and greet. It's really nice. And then there's been a weekly sort of pub quiz, a virtual pub quiz that we do, that the whole company's invited to, and it is just amazing. It's so good. It's so much fun. And they ask for categories, and my number one category in a quiz that I can ace hands down is a Disney category. I love Disney films. Now, there is a caveat to that, because they've got to be pre-1999 Disney. Anything that's new, like Moana or Tangled or Brave or anything like after Tarzan, I have not a clue about. But anything before that, I can sing all the songs, I know all the lines, and I just love it. So I'm really looking forward to the quiz tonight. And then last Friday, I actually did a quiz with one of my best friends and her family, and that was a lot of fun as well. There was a category specifically that was on her and her fiance and her daughter, and I aced it over her family, which was just, it was hilarious. But that was pretty much the only category that I aced. All the other ones I was just rubbish at and guessing, and it was really difficult, but it was a lot of fun. And I love the fact that people are coming up with creative ways to sort of stay in touch during these times. So doing things like having quizzes with family or like colleagues or friends, it's just like a way to make you feel a little bit closer. So I've been having a really good time with that. And then as well, right, so I like to bake a little bit here and there. And I got this like wild hair at my ass that I wanted to make banana bread, and I don't know where it came from. I think I was talking to my mom, and she was talking about everything that she'd been baking, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna make banana bread. So I looked up a recipe online for banana bread, and I had to go to the shop 3 or 4 times in order to get all of the ingredients that I needed. And the one ingredient that I could not find to save my life every time I went to the shop, even when the shelves were fully stocked, was baking soda. And I remember reading in the recipe before I'd ever gone to the shop that it said this is a really forgiving recipe, you can substitute things, blah blah blah. So I went back and I looked, and baking soda was the only thing that you couldn't substitute in this recipe. So I had to bite the bullet, and I had to order baking soda from Amazon. Now, it came in like a package that would be for a book, so it wasn't that big. It cost me £7, and I was really upset because I only needed a teaspoon of baking soda in order to make banana bread. But I will say that the banana bread came out a treat. I made a loaf, and then I also made some muffins, like some mini banana bread muffins, and they were so good. I've still got some left over, and I might have some after this because, ooh, I do love a banana bread, but you've got to keep the nuts out of it. I was telling my friend that I had made banana bread, and she was like, ooh, walnuts or pecans or something. And I was like, absolutely not. Why ruin a good thing with nuts? So I kept it's nut-free banana bread, but it was just so delicious. I just really loved it. But anyway, I've rambled on. The kitchen has been recolored. We are now in Guy's bedroom, and I found myself using a lot of like patterns that I've never used before. For example, his bedspread, I've never used that before, but it was fun playing with the different colors and like blocking out different colors, because I think there was another stripe that was down there, but I just made it the same color as the base of the bedspread. And yeah, so you can see that there are a lot of blues, a lot of greens, pops of orange, and I kind of went for bright colors just to brighten up the space a little bit because it is quite dark, and you'll see in the screenshots with the filters that I put on the pictures, it is quite dark, but I think it looks really cool. But you guys can let me know what you think down below in the comments as always. And then I don't know if you guys have noticed this as of yet, but the flooring that I've used is the same flooring that I've used in probably the last 3 houses that I've built. There's just something about that flooring that I love, and before I started using that, I don't think I'd ever used it because the base color of it, or the standard color that it comes in, is like bright yellow, and I love bright yellow. You guys know that I love yellow. You can see that I've put it on the little freezer bunny flag that's hanging over the coffee table, but this was just like, whoa, like in your face bright yellow. So I always avoided it for some reason, but you know, with the magic of creative style, you can change it to anything you want, and I'm glad I took a chance on it because I think it looks really good, and I think it works really well with Guy's little space. So I think after this, we are going to mosey on down to the basement to recolor down there. I didn't recolor the bathroom on camera because what do I always say, folks? You shit, shower, and shave in the bathroom. There's nothing really that exciting about it. But I love this space. I think the study area and the basement space are my favorites in this entire build, and there's just something about the like bright orange walls, which would probably hurt your eyes, and the black with the white waves on it. I think that just works really well together. Usually I don't pair black and orange because I'm always afraid that it's going to remind people of Halloween, but I just think it works well in this space. And then you can see that I used a crazy pattern on that chair, and I really love that chair. I wish that it had more comfort level for your Sims, but it's not because it's like a chair on crates, so how comfortable could that be? Probably not very comfortable, but I just love that chair. And again, I used a pattern that I don't think I've ever used before, but I don't know, I just thought I'm gonna try something different this time. I'm gonna go a little bit crazy, a little bit buck wild, so that's what I did. And again, I'm using patterns on this coffee table, which I don't think I've ever used this coffee table in particular in a build before, and I'm using patterns on that as well. And I don't know, I just really love this build, and the download will be down below in the description. It is CC free, of course, and I think I only used 2 pieces of CC. You've got the Happy Hippie poof that's in Guy's bedroom, and then you also have I used 2 barrels that are from Barnacle Bay, but they're just for decoration purposes only. I moved them into the keg that's up on the rooftop, and then also the dining table that's in the little dining area next to the kitchen. So they're not a necessary thing at all. So you can definitely change it out, get rid of it, or you know, use it if you want. But if you do use this in your game, I would love to see screenshots of the sim that you have live here. I would only recommend that you have 1 sim living here because it is quite a tiny space, but you know, have friends down in the basement, hang out, chill, do what you like. You can see that the barrel is moved into the kegerator or whatever. So yeah, really happy with how this turned out. I'm super glad that I got to share this with you guys. And you know what, one last final thought before I go. Let me see how quickly I can get this out. But you know what I would love to see is different generations of families living on the same plot. Now, I know you can do that already with generations, but what I mean is having the ability to switch in between different households that live on the same plot of land, because the backstory to this challenge was that Guy Orange lives on a piece of his parents' property. So I think that would be really cool to see something like that in the future. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. Love you and leave you guys with some music. Make sure to stick around for the screenshots, but if you enjoyed this video, make sure to do all those cool interweb things, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you've got that bell ding dong so you can be notified whenever I do upload. But for now, I'm gonna skedaddle. Don't be a plum stranger now, guys. Bye!